Hey everybody, Yankee here. If you follow my channel and you're a Subscribe Star member or Patreon member or just channel member or whatever, you probably are aware that I recently had my deep carry gun, my Smith & Wesson 360 PD, seized by the PoPo because of an incident that occurred on New Year's Eve where I got myself in a little trouble. So now I don't have that gun. It used to be behind me on the wall in all my live chats. If you noticed, there's an empty space now where that little revolver with the blue grip used to be. So I have to replace it. Now, luckily, I've got a credit coming back from my credit card, a cashback coming back in February. That's around $1,200. So I've got $1,200 to spend. Hopefully, I won't spend all that on a gun, but I do have that much. That's as high as I can possibly go. And I've comprised a little list of guns that I think would be good replacements for that firearm. And I want to get your input on each of these guns. Like I said, I'm going to give you the list of all 5 guns, tell you the good and the bad about them, and I want to hear what you think should be the replacement for my deep carry gun. This would be the gun that I carry when I go out in public, that I want to be very discreet, I want it to be very small, and it's mainly going to be in case you get in trouble and you need something up close. So let's go through the list here, and you can help me decide which one should replace my 360 PD. All right, our number 5 option is the Smith & Wesson Model 36. This is their new classic gun. It is a no-lock gun, and this gun is beautiful. It's all steel, it's blued, it's got nice wood grips. This gun is a classic. That's why it's part of the classic series. And it's a gun I would love to have, whether it ends up being my deep carry gun or not. In fact, it might be too nice to carry all the time, but this is an option. And like I said, it's got a lot of upside. It's got a beautiful finish on it. It's a beautiful gun overall, got nice grips, etc. But it does have some negatives. One, it's the most expensive gun on the list. I don't want to go into prices exactly because I get a strike from YouTube every time I discuss pricing. So I'm not going to do that. But it is the most expensive gun on the list. Also, since it's all steel, it's the heaviest gun on the list at 20 ounces. And when you're talking about a deep carry gun, weight does matter. So that kind of makes it a less viable option, but the upsides really make this gun desirable because it is a beautiful gun. It just has some negatives. Another negative is it's only available in 38 Special. So you only get 5 rounds of 38 Special. So that's a downside. Also, sights are fixed. It's a gutter sight in the rear. Front sight's part of the barrel. It's integrated into the barrel. So you can't really change your sights out or anything. So like I said, not a lot of options to change it. It is kind of heavy. It's the most expensive gun on the list. And also, it's the heaviest gun on the list. But, like I said, it's beautiful. And that kind of counters all of that. So that's the number 5 option. All right, our number 4 option is the Smith & Wesson 432 SOA model. Now, the SOA, if you don't know, is the Special Operations Association. And it's got that big shield right there on the side of the gun. Now, this is where a lot of people are going to be like, Yankee's only choosing that because he's falling for that marketing campaign. He thinks he's going to seem like an operator if he's got that tactical logo on his gun. And to those people I say, yeah, you're right to a degree. That's why I chose this one over other options. But I chose the 432 for reasons specific to that model. The reason I chose this one in particular is I do like that logo. I also like those green G10 grips that come with it. I like the fact that both the rear and the front sight are actually true replaceable sights. They're independent from the gun, unlike on a lot of the 442s and stuff, where it just has a gutter rear sight or a fixed front sight. So that's a nice upgrade on these guns. They're made a lot nicer. Now, the biggest upside on this one over the 36 we talked about is that it's 6 rounds of 32 H&R instead of 5 rounds of 38 Special. Now, I always say never choose 6 rounds of 32 H&R over 5 rounds of 357. But when you're comparing it to 5 rounds of 38 Special, it's a no-brainer. Go with the 6 rounds of 32. The H&R. That is a better choice, and this gun has that. So that's a big upgrade for this gun. Now, this gun is also lighter at 16.5 ounces, and it's also less expensive than the 36. So it's a lot of upsides. This gun is actually tailor-suited to this job, has more rounds, looks good. I like the grips, like the sight, like everything. Pretty much everything's a positive on this gun, except for the fact it doesn't have an exposed hammer. Since it is a 4 model gun or XX model gun, it's got an enclosed hammer. So I can't thumb that hammer back for single action. So that's the only real disadvantage to this gun. But otherwise, it's a great option, and that's why it's option number 4. All right, option number 3 is another Smith & Wesson 432. And this gun has the same advantages and disadvantages of the other gun. It is hammerless. It's an internal hammer, so you can't thumb the hammer. That's the big disadvantage. But otherwise, sight-wise, very similar. Design-wise, very similar. Caliber, same. 6 rounds of 32 H&R. So it's got pretty much everything going for it the other gun had going for it, and everything going against it the other gun had going against it, except for one thing. This one is lighter. It's 3.5 ounces lighter. This is only 13 ounces because it has a titanium cylinder. That's the big difference between this one and the previous one. You're paying a little extra money, so that's another disadvantage, but you're getting that much lighter gun. These guns feel like toys. When you're carrying them, you really don't know you're carrying them. Not only do other people not notice them, you don't notice them. That's what I loved about the 360 PD. So this would be probably the most similar gun to the 360 PD, but it's a lot less expensive than the 360 PD. So this would be a great option, well, mainly because it has an aluminum frame instead of scandium, but that would make it probably the most similar gun to the 360 PD, except it doesn't have the hammer. So, like I said, you do pay a little extra for that titanium cylinder, but I think it's worth it, and that's why it's option number 3. All right, at number 2, we're getting away from Smith & Wesson's, and we have a Ruger LCRX. Now, this would be the 357 Magnum version. So it has that big advantage right off the bat there. It is a 357 Magnum. It's 5 rounds of 357 Magnum, which I think is a no-brainer over 6 rounds of 32 H&R and definitely over 5 rounds of 38 Special. So this would be the one I would choose. Now, this gun does have some downsides. It doesn't have a removable rear sight like some of the other options I showed you here, but it does have a replaceable front sight, so you can change the sights somewhat. Now, this gun also has a really nice trigger. I've always liked the Ruger LCRX trigger. Now, the big disadvantage to this gun is it's more expensive. In fact, it's almost as expensive as the 36, even though there's nothing really special about this edition. So it's a more expensive gun, and it's heavier. In fact, this is the heaviest gun other than the 36 on the list. This weighs in at 17 ounces. When you compare that to the 13 ounces of the previous gun, it's a little bit heavier. But like I said, it does have a 357 Magnum round in it. It's chambered for 357, 5 rounds of it, so that's a big plus. Does have a hammer that you can thumb because it is the X model. The only real disadvantage, like I said, is I'm not sure I like that polymer trigger guard and stuff, and it doesn't have a replaceable rear sight. But other than that, and the weight is a little bit of a disadvantage, but overall, this is one of the best carry guns you can get. It's not going to be the same as the 360 PD. It's going to be a little different. The 360 PD was also 357 Magnum, but quite a bit lighter. But it isn't going to be like that gun, but it's a gun that anyone should be happy to have as their carry gun. So that's why it's number 2 on our list of options. All right, our number 1 option on the list is the Beretta 30X Tomcat. Now, I know a lot of people are like, what? A semi-automatic? This is unlike all the other guns completely. Well, yeah, it is. And this is one of the options I'm really considering because I would love to have this gun, and I already have a Tomcat Inox, and it is a super easy to carry gun. It's a very accurate gun for its size, a very easy to use gun, has a lot of great features. So this one is just an updated, modernized version, and I'd love to have it. So I think this would be a good deep carry gun. Like I said, the one I have is so easy to carry. And they've upgraded it now from my model. I had the Inox model. It's a little heavier, and it does not have changeable sights. The front sight's fixed. It's part of the barrel. So this one, they've given it much better sights. Rear sight's better. Front sight is removable, replaceable. So has much better sights. And it holds 9 rounds of 32 ACP. Now, 32 ACP isn't a premium round, but it'll definitely get the job done, and it's better than 5 rounds of 38 Special, which I also consider acceptable. So I think it's even better as far as caliber and capacity. Plus, like I said, this gun is easier to reload because it's magazine fed. Now, I would probably use standard magazine, so I'd only end up with 8 rounds instead of 9 32 ACP because I don't like how the extended mags stick out. Makes a small gun bigger. I don't know why you want to do that. This gun's easy to control with the grip size it has, so you don't need that extension. So this gun, like I said, has a lot of great things going for it. I love the sights that they've upgraded those. I love the ergonomics of the gun, the function of the gun, and I love that tip-up barrel where you just pop up the barrel. When you load a mag, you stick another round in the barrel, close it, you're ready to go. You don't have to cycle around and then take the mag out, put another round in it to get your maximum capacity. So really like this gun. Like I said, I've already got one. I would like to have this one. Would love to have this in case of emergency model. I don't need those higher sights on the other ones because I'm not going to be suppressing it. It's for deep carry. So that would just be something else to poke me in the sides or scratch me or hook on something. So I would like to have this. This would be the other option. In fact, this is the one I'm kind of leaning towards the most. Plus, it's the least expensive gun on the list. If I bought this gun, I could probably buy a Bobcat to go with it with the same money I had for not much more than I'd pay for the other guns. So that's an option right there. That's an upside right there. That option that it's less expensive. Now you might be thinking though, yeah, it's got a lot of rounds and yeah, it's easier to reload and it's got nice sights, it's functional, all that other stuff, but it's going to be heavy because it's a semi-auto and it's, not going to be as light as these, carry J-frames. Actually, it's the second lightest gun on the list. The only gun on the list that weighs less than it is the the titanium cylindered 432. That's the only gun lighter than this one. This is the second lightest gun on the list. It's the least expensive gun on the list. And it's a very cool gun. Now, you might say a downside is it is a semi-automatic, so it's not going to be as reliable as a revolver. But I've never had a single failure with my Tomcat that I have. So if this one's that good, it'd be functionally as good as any revolver. Because never failing is never failing. Whether something never fails more often than the other one that never fails, period, not much of a difference there. It's like comparing half of infinity to infinity. So this is option number one, the Beretta 32X Tomcat in case of emergency. All right, now that you've seen the options, which one do you think I should get to replace my 360 PD that was taken by the PoPo?